Fly 6 hours west from the UK and you'll hit New England in the USA, a place that's been home to famous leaders, sailors and Ivy League geniuses, all against the backdrop of its legendary autumnal colour scheme. The region's comprised of 6 states. You've got Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, and here, Massachusetts, where my journey starts. Of course, there is Boston, a stunning city, but not necessarily the best place to cruise around in the car. So you could begin at Plymouth, home of the Mayflower, and a suitable place to start any journey.
I think the fascination that Americans have with this ship is that the perception that this is the beginning of our country. That's not completely true in 1620, this is English history, but it really does give the germ of what is the promise of what the United States becomes, and that's the land of opportunity.
Perhaps the only problem with driving through New England is that you're in a real danger of not getting anywhere because of the constant temptation to stop and see the sights. In this case, a cranberry bog. The South Shore in Massachusetts is where this is most common, not far from the border with Rhode Island, the USA's smallest state with some of the biggest houses.
The Newport Mansions are a collection of 11 properties maintained by the Preservation Society of Newport County, and they cover 300 years, ranging from a colonial house in 1748 right up through the Victorian era, the Gilded Age, and right into the early part of the 20th century.
Rhode Island is famed for the big ships sailing its huge coastline, but in neighbouring Connecticut, they also have boats to brag about at the fabulously named Mystic Seaport.
This is Mystic Seaport, the Museum of America and the Sea, which is the largest maritime museum in America. It's a 19-acre outdoor museum with 3 areas. We have a shipyard, which you can hear here in the background. We are actually standing in the village, and the 3rd area is the traditional sort of museum exhibit buildings.
From here I'm going to head north, back through Massachusetts and into Vermont, the only New England state without an Atlantic border. So no ocean yachts here, but there's plenty of other things to do. That's a great way to get up a mountain. Time to find a better way to get down. Yes, you can even take on a mountainside toboggan run. There's no deep cultural significance to this, just an excuse to have fun. So as darkness falls, it's time to turn one's thoughts to a place to stay. And in New England, you're not short of choices. And here's one of my favourite things.
Well, we're in Stowe, Vermont, and we're in the Trapp Family Lodge, and it's very special because it is where the Trapp family settled after they moved from Austria, and where they have been building their family's home and lodge for many people to visit. So the family moved from Austria in 1939 and arrived to Stowe a few years later, and throughout the time that they moved, from the time that they moved and on, they were touring, giving concerts throughout the entire world. So they would eventually settle here 3 years after arriving in the United States in 1942. We have a beautiful property where we have 65 kilometers of trails. We've got mountain biking trails, we've got hiking and walking trails, snowshoe trails, cross-country ski trails. For every season of the year, we have a wonderful activity for our guests to enjoy.
Across in New Hampshire, just around the corner from the spectacular Mount Washington Cog Railway, is the equally stunning Mount Washington Resort. I probably don't have to tell you this, but it became famous in 1944 for hosting the talks that led to the setting up of the International Monetary Fund. See, you knew you recognised it, but it's also played host to presidents, prime ministers and royalty. Back on the road now, and not just any road. This is the Magus Highway, a scenic byway in New Hampshire. Although you can get some great views from the seat of the car, all you have to do sometimes is turn off the engine, walk a few yards, and you feel that the road is 1,000,000 miles away. this pretty much sums up your driving experience in New England. Nice bit of road, stunning view. The next stop is Lake Winnipesaukee, and it's worth taking a moment to appreciate its beauty. A certain Mitt Romney has a place here, and it's easy to see why. And there are also great views of the lake from the largest zip line in continental USA. And finally into Kennebunkport, Maine, and that man, George Bush Sr. again. That's his place over there, shrouded in mist and Secret Service men. Somewhat easier to get to, though, is the famous Maine lobster.
Wow. For some reason, this lobster in the Gulf of Maine here is the most popular. We ship our lobsters throughout the entire world. You know, I think ours is the tastiest lobster.
Well, they do say if you love someone, you must set them free, and I think the same goes for a lobster. And I've kind of grown quite fond of young Larry here, so away into the ocean, my pretty. Mwah. But Larry isn't the only one heading for home. Yes, my journey is over as well, back here in Boston where it all began. So what have I learned? Well, the rave reviews you hear about the autumn leaves, they are fully justified. There is much more to New England than that. Whatever your budget, there's bound to be something here for you. And to say that I've scratched the surface doesn't come close. To be honest, I've barely given it a cheeky tickle. To sum it up, New England is a really easy place to love.